Following on from the last video where we had made up frame number 10 aft, we're now going to make the rest of the frames 10 forward through to 6 forward. To do this properly, you need your framing plan, which is taken off the big plan that I got from National Maritime Museum. And you really need to study that because there are some things that are not crystal clear. And again, I go back to my color code. This took me at least half an hour to go through everything and make sure I got to understand these frames coming up. Well, we just go through them one by one in sequence, and the first one is 10 aft. It has nothing really special, and we've actually made it up already, so that's ready to go. And 10 forward simply goes up right to the top, right here. The 9 aft and 9 forward have spacers. So again, here is 9 aft already made up, and here is 9 forward. It's been made up and comes to include the height for the timber head. 8 aft is one of the frames that we may be doing some additional work on. It is shifted forward, but when we discuss 7, we are going to discuss perhaps elongating this piece. And then the forward is straight. No, nothing special. Now we've come to one of the real challenges for the Thorn, where the plan that I purchased from the National Maritime Museum, the framing plan, actually had some modifications or changes to it. There were some pencil drawings that showed the stanchions above the waist of the ship, and the waist is the line that most of the frames stop at. But there are a number of frames that go through the waist up to the quarterdeck rail, here, 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 and then they're suggesting that 7A, which is the one we're working on now, goes through. Although the plan does not show 7A is going through, it might show 8A. There's a very light drawing here. And so number 7, which is what we're doing here, is the first one of those. And we haven't made a decision what we're going to do, but having discovered the possibility of this uniqueness of the HMS Thorn, we're going to extend the top of the frame right through, because this is where it should be. And instead we're going to replace that with a taller piece that goes right up to the quarterdeck rail. If it turns out to be a problem later on, we can very easily cut it off. And selectively I'm going to pull out those that I can and replace them with the same extension, so literally remaking the frame. And for those that I can't, because some of them are actually the sides of the gun ports, I'm going to add a piece to the top and use a fairly large dowel to hold it in place. So here we have aft, 7 aft, and these are the original pieces, and we're going to take those out and replace them with these elongated pieces. And 7 forward is relatively straightforward. 6 aft, this has a shift forward. Still needs to be cleaned up a bit, and the 3 nails put in. And 6 forward is relatively straightforward. The last in the set of frames in this series. Last night my wife Susan returned from New York visiting our daughter and brought me my 2 new presents. You know, I'm always collecting tools, and this is really to supplement my sharpening system from DMT. So here's the Veritas system, an old chisel. It's literally been brought back to life and is sharp enough to shave with. This is a 750 mesh that I bought in a hardware store. And my friend Richard lent me, he may never get it back, 220 mesh and a 325 mesh, and flip it over on either side. And then these are the 2 new babies. This is a 1200 and this is a 8000, and when you put that 8000 on, you can actually see a mirror finish on the chisel. Absolutely remarkable to have sharp chisels like this. Here we are, all 10 frames done. In a sense, this is the first time I've done all 10 before installing all. So we're just going to take you through the time lapse as we put each one in place, and from time to time we might actually just expand and slow it down a little bit to show you some of the challenges we had during the actual installation. You're going to need lots of different thicknesses for the blocks between the frames, and so we've marked them all out, and this simply makes life very easy for us when we're trying to find the correct size spacer block. In terms of the spacers, there's no specific thickness given in a book, and my estimate is that the thickness is 3 inches. The width of the spacer is 7 inches going through, and the depth, the thickness through would obviously correspond to the thickness of the frame. The book clearly outlines where the spacers go, 7 inches above the join and 9 inches below, and the only exception is above the top spacer you put another one that's 27 inches above that. I've also added, depending on the spacer, one at the very top of the frame. This just gives further details so that you can see exactly what we've done. Another thing just to remind you that on each frame there is a flat side and a tapered side, and so that you make the best join possible, you want to put the 2 flat sides together with the spacer in between, which will help make a much better and stronger join. To make sure that we get the gun port openings correct, we've put in these spacings, which are 28.5 inches wide. And this is the last one in the set, 10 through 6. I don't know whether it's because it's getting easier or the skill levels are improving, but we only really messed up 2 frames, and we have a few parts that we made the wrong size, or we decided to change it. So clearly there's an improvement going on. So we just wait for this to dry and see you in the next video.